DeCastro turns into bumbling clown live on air again. Can his hilarious antics compete with his newfound friend Flex Your Freedoms? Is it funny that he claims he was forced to raise his trifold prices, only to go back giving away a trifold with every $25 purchase? Floyd Wallace scrubs his YouTube page, but leaves up controversial streams featuring underage girls and pay-for-play workers. Not even James Freeman can save Lexington Takeover, as hordes fail to show up. Plus, actual GoFundMe action for DirectD and Long Island Audit. What the what? All this and more on this edition of Auditing Insanity. Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Auditing Insanity Newscast brought to you by ReallyCoolNews. I'm Jim Finch and I'll be your host for another combined broadcast covering Monday, October 14th and Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. We've got a lot to go over tonight, including the failed takeover of Lexington, Mississippi, Chili DeCastro being forced to raise prices, and actual activity in the GoFundMe market. Since we have so much to catch up on, we'll cut this short and ask you to focus on Delete Laws forced to raise prices. Sunday was a rough night for Delete Law's Jose Chili DeCastro as he was forced to announce the doubling in price of his indestructible trifolds from a $12 price point to a $25 price point before a $12 shipping and handling charge. DeCastro said that his business manager would physically hurt him if he lowered the prices again, as he had been selling them at a point where the profit made from the units would not allow DeCastro to be able to afford ordering a new printing of the trifolds. For some reason, DeCastro also raised the price of the print-at-home trifolds to $13 from a $6 price point, despite no inventory limitations on the digital product. Other increases saw physical copies of cop cards, which DeCastro usually gives away with every order, jump to $15. The YouTuber seemed distressed by the price increases on his 4-hour-long Sunday extravaganza, raising $232 in super chats, in part to help fund free trifolds for those who needed them. He also ran his Buy a Trifold and Someone Else Gets One Free campaign, then offered to send the free trifolds using his old shipping rates and without the broccoli wad rubber band. Critics pounced on DeCastro's decision to raise prices, as he had been previously so willing to give out free digital copies of his entire product line to those in need, giving out zip files of the product line in exchange for data from his fans that he would later sell to data brokers, according to former partner Colin Campbell. DeCastro's flooding of his own market with digital products, then lowering his prices to the point where he could not sustain his own line of products, calls into question his claims of extensive experience managing businesses, with further questions by critics as he followed up the price increases by running an immediate buy one, someone else gets one free sales that essentially put the price of the product back to the $12 price point. One viewer suggested a return to the GoFundMe market by DeCastro, essentially to establish a slush fund of $40 donations for his fans to fund the needs of those who could not afford physical products. The proposed idea would revive DeCastro's presence in the GoFundMe market, which has seen significant decline since his suspension of his campaigns last month. It's not without precedent, as Karen Reed's attorneys currently crowdsource for their fees involved in defending the accused murderer. On that point, our own ongoing expenses account took Sunday with a $30 take for the day, with no other donations to the other campaigns on the market. We still need your help. Despite the GoFundMe market being dead, this publication is funded by your donations, along with what little we make from YouTube each month. While we did achieve full monetization on our YouTube channel, we still need help to get through the monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All proceeds literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the ads on our videos, like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in. Not even Freeman can save Lexington Takeover. There was no word from the organizers of the so-called Lexington Takeover scheduled earlier on Monday, as the Guerrilla Publishing YouTube site provided no updates past the Sunday night livestream, indicating that Ron and his group from Guerrilla Publishing were 5 hours away from Lexington. The Sunday livestream was filled with tidbits, including the fact that Ron claimed he was contacted by the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation last week, as the organization was concerned that the plan to organize protest outside of the Holmes County Courthouse in Lexington would disrupt an ongoing murder trial being held there at the courthouse. Ron assured the representative of the MBI that the protest had no plans to disrupt anything, after a failed joke about blocking the intersection of Highway 12 and Highway 17 with a picnic did not go over well with the officer. He also claimed that he had mass spammed every news outlet in the area with the planned takeover and the presence of superstar James Freeman, who would be meeting them at 9 a.m. Central Time the following morning at the courthouse. Ron also released links to the social media accounts of Edward Scott Walters, the Lexington police officer who arrested Ron earlier in the month, along with the contact information for the Lexington Police Department, with the demand that his fans brigade the police department to demand Walters be fired. A lawsuit was threatened, with Ron listing all sorts of charges, including kidnapping, to be included with the lawsuit. Ron assured everyone that he wasn't after money, he was only after the right thing, which was essentially the firing of Walters. He also asked his fans for information about places the assembled auditors could visit during the 3 days of the planned takeover, from places to eat and places to see in the area. As Sunday became Monday, there was no word from Ron's group or anyone involved in the takeover. 3 hours after the scheduled start of the planned takeover, Guerrilla Publishing nor James Freeman had gone live, and there had been no updates on their community pages. Well into late afternoon on Monday, the group, now joined by Freeman, did a brief live from a gas station in Lexington. They briefly entered the gas station to confront a police officer who was ordering his dinner, before being asked to stop recording by the owner of the gas station, who didn't want a confrontation in the establishment. Ron would then announce that he received a $1,000 donation from a fan, and another fan showed up to take the group to lunch earlier in the day. He also said that there would be a meeting in the City Hall on Tuesday to discuss the Justice Department investigation of the Lexington Police Department and the employment of Edward Scott Walters. James Freeman was still alive, running around Lexington with the group as of press time Monday night. Floyd Wallace scrubs YouTube account of controversial live streams. Controversial YouTuber Floyd Wallace scrubbed his YouTube account of his most recent live streams on Monday, apparently erasing any evidence of his real or mused future plans to avoid his upcoming court hearings by firing his attorney to cause a delay to allow him to flee the country for an extended sex tour of Colombia. Wallace's YouTube had been a lightning rod of controversy in recent days, as the YouTuber has thrown all sorts of plans out, including a strange fascination for saving up his semen for the month with the intention of an acquaintance in Colombia with or without her consent when he arrived in the country later this month. He was also extensively candid with his mental health issues in recent streams, claiming that he had been fighting for the restoration of his previously revoked monthly disability check from the United States government for mental health issues including ADHD and schizophrenia. The YouTuber claimed that he lost his $1,000 a month stipend from the United States government as he made too much money off of the popularity of his YouTube channels back when he was actively auditing and from when he was promoting the Passport Bro lifestyle in his previous extended stay in Brazil. While he says that he has been fighting for the stipend to be restored, his efforts have not been successful even as his earnings from YouTube have significantly decreased. Wallace has also come under fire from critics who claim that he has abdicated for embarking in sexual contact with women who were the local age of consent, not the United States age of consent. The YouTuber was so offended by the accusations that he produced a live stream on the subject, only creating more questions from his audience as he refused to identify the person who was making the accusations. Strangely, the two videos of note that Wallace has left on his channel are both equally controversial. For the first video, Wallace had been paid to go to the College Station campus to attempt to pick up women, and his encounter with two women in Nebraska that he later admitted were pay-for-play highlighted the second video. Both videos are troubling as Wallace approached women on the College Station video as a science experiment where he approached several women who appeared underage in order to get their Instagram accounts. In the second video, he allegedly picked up prostitutes and fed them Arby's before his intimate adventure began. Some have speculated that Wallace has been more and more paranoid with his words being used against him, including the possibility of his recordings being sent to his probation officer in Texas or the judge handling his Oklahoma case. Correcting our previous reporting, Wallace's next court date is November 12th, not the previously reported November 14th, for an obstructing of an officer charge in Oklahoma. This is the case where Wallace has repeatedly stated on recent live streams his plans to fire his current attorney in the case to cause yet another delay to the pending plea and sentencing in order to flee the country for his next sex tour of Colombia. Wallace also still owes $57 towards his fines for resist arrest, search, or transport that put him on parole after a September guilty plea in Grayson, Texas. The YouTuber most recently claimed that he had until Tuesday to pay off the remainder of his $787 fine for the misdemeanor, or else he would have to cancel his sex tour of Colombia, later admitting he had no intention of canceling his plans. We will bring you updates when Wallace goes live again. DirectD LIA dramas revive GoFundMe market. Monday's GoFundMe market was abuzz with unusual activity based on separate ongoing dramas involving Christopher DirectD Ruff finding out that he was on probation without being notified he was on probation, and multiple incidents involving Sean Paul Long Island Audit Riaz. Ruff won the day with a $100 donation from a supporter after multiple streams based on his discovery that he was placed on probation in the state of Arizona in 2023 without agreeing to the probation. Ruff wrote on Twitter, "The Superior Court in Arizona broke the law and put me on probation illegally to get a win in 2023 to avoid a lawsuit. The problem is I never agreed to probation nor signed paperwork agreeing to it. For those that don't know, probation is contractual and requires you to sign and agree. Recently it was brought to my attention that I now have a warrant for this imaginary probation I am not on. Shocker. It would appear that the state inadvertently set themselves up for a lawsuit by illegally putting me on probation and issuing warrants for my arrest. Good job, dumb fucks. Stay tuned as this evolves." Ruff's announcement of the same information on his YouTube channel, along with his critique of a YouTube video questioning the legitimacy of his news, brought him enough attention to turn a $100 profit from his GoFundMe campaign. Turning to Riaz, Mark Stout announced on Sunday night that he was awarded summary judgment over Riaz in their ongoing dispute over a 2022 incident that resulted in Stout suing Riaz for unlawful entry and trespassing on his property. Riaz, claiming to be a process server, attempted to serve Stout with a lawsuit in that incident. Stout was awarded $5,000 as part of the decision by the court against Riaz. Riaz ignored Stout's announcement to go live, demanding that the judge in his bench trial, set for this morning, recuse herself in his case, where he was arrested for filming within the Schenectady, New York City Hall. Interestingly, Riaz originally stated that he was in the Schenectady City Hall to interview the mayor of the city, Gary McCarthy, but he has since changed his statement to indicate that he was there to record police officers in compliance with New York's various right-to-record laws that allow recording of police officers. A standing executive order by the mayor prohibited filming in the building. Riaz went into the city hall after pre-announcing his arrest and directing his fans to a GoFundMe to fund his legal defense before the arrest. Riaz announced that he would be motioning for the recusal of Judge Tanika Frost for refusing to hear Riaz's previous motion to examine the executive order. While Riaz indicated that he was not personally attacking the judge, he has said she could not be fair as Mayor McCarthy appointed Judge Frost to her position in 2018. The YouTuber stressed that Frost could be sentencing him to jail and taking him away from his two small children at Tuesday's hearing, apparently appealing to the heartstrings of his followers. Riaz claimed that he is facing either a fine of $250 and 15 days in jail, or just the fine and time served. The drama brought an unexpected donation to Riaz's unlawful arrest and constitutional rights campaign, consisting of $5, which was enough to take second for the day in the GoFundMe race. We still need your help. Despite the GoFundMe market being dead, this publication is funded by your donations along with what little we make from YouTube each month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All proceeds literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the ads on our videos. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in. Delete Law's Monday stream turns into circus. Monday was yet another typical day from the life of Delete Law's Chili DeCastro as he continued to prepare his studio, this time complaining about the horrors of painting. Team DLZ remained on launch. He was briefly humiliated by demanding a callback from the wrong city of Troy, and of course he undid any advice from his financial advisor by giving away trifolds anytime anyone bought one for the new price of $25. It wasn't all bad for the YouTuber, as he managed to bring in $152 in super chats during the show, down significantly from Sunday's live stream, but still a good showing for DeCastro's recent non-fundraising streams. DeCastro immediately announced that the super chat money would be going towards paying for the free trifolds he gave away during the stream. How any of this made any financial sense is beyond us, but in the zany world of Delete Laws, sense goes out the window for the sheer personality of the host. Sadly, even at 2x speed, it was still seen as a chore to get through the broadcast, even for his most faithful listener. DeCastro used part of his time to promote his interview with YouTuber Flex Your Freedoms, who DeCastro called the Funny Guy, which is now available as a special members-only perk on his main YouTube channel. He then shared his own hilarious screw-up as he went to the post office on Monday, only to find it closed for the Columbus Day holiday. Then he followed it up with another hilarious screw-up as he spent 30 minutes waiting for a call back from the wrong city of Troy, as he was seeking Troy, Missouri, but instead called Troy, Ohio, about a video that he was soon forgotten in his outrage. The night was also originally announced as a call-in show on DeCastro's previous live stream. He said he'd have a special phone number set up and would listen to real callers for the night. Instead, DeCastro made no mention of the idea of a call-in show and did his normal mix of fake outrage and anti-police videos, along with trifold sales to carry the night. Also not mentioned was the disaster that has become TeamDLZ.com. DeCastro's constant promise of launching tomorrow has become a comedic mantra of recent airings of his channel. The reference now becoming part of the unofficial drinking games that include references of teaching of his constitutional law scholar program tomorrow and the ever tomorrow launch of his transparency application. More not mentioned despite promises included his continuing hurricane relief efforts, his promise to help the woman from last week who was fighting to regain her sister's children, his newly launched Patreon, which is now up to 5 paying members at $10 a month per member, his soon-to-be launching new YouTube channel, and about a dozen other forgotten promises and products that have vanished into the ether. All in all, your average and totally forgettable night for the YouTuber, who promises more free trifolds on his next live stream as he returns to full infomercial mode for the fall. Lexington Takeover demands firing of officer. YouTuber Ron from Guerrilla Publishing and his 2 friends were joined by James Freeman Springer and a friend as they recorded outside the Lexington, Mississippi police station Monday night, demanding the immediate firing of Lexington police officer Edward Scott Walters. The 2 sets of men ran around the outside of the Lexington Police Department Monday night, going from car to car, demanding to know where Officer Walters was. Ron claimed that they were hiding the officer within the building, and the group was demanding that they force the officer to come out and answer their questions. Freeman told one of the officers that Walters beat up Ron, exaggerating what happened in the arrest, while Ron himself said that the siege would only end when Walters was fired. He said he would have no beef with the officers in the area after he achieved the ending of Walters' career. Both groups continued to run around in the dark confronting officers as they came and went from the Lexington Police Department for around a half an hour. The large turnout promised by Ron never happening, with just the group of 5 on hand to carry out the harassment of officers. Freeman himself made some news earlier in the day when he used his "I'm doing an investigation" bit to get an officer's name and birth date at a nearby town. Freeman also saw an AR-15 sitting in an unlocked squad car in the footage and made a complaint, which the officer was responding to. The weapon turned out to be loaded with a bullet in the chamber, which was apparently against police policy. The officer declined to name the officer the vehicle belonged to, and Freeman has since pulled the footage in order to repurpose it for YouTube algorithm reasons. Promising to continue their sometimes petty and annoying actions throughout the public areas of government buildings in the area for a second day in a row, the group was looking forward to a planned hearing about both Officer Walters and the Justice Department investigation into the Lexington Police Department to be held later today. Ron has promised that Walters will be fired at the meeting. He has not cited his sources, but is telling anyone who will listen that information, as most people have no idea who he is talking about in the area. The Lexington Takeover was planned by Ron last week after he was arrested for filming in the Lexington Court building by Officer Walters 2 weeks ago. Ron has claimed all sorts of things about the arrest, including a violent attack by Walters, which grows with each telling of the story. Initially expecting a mass turnout of auditors, the group consists of the 5 main protesters and an occasional supporter who won't go on camera, but who will buy the men some food. Activities are expected to continue throughout the day, building up to the 5 p.m. Central Time meeting at the Lexington Town Hall. In a late-breaking update to this story, Ron of Guerrilla Publishing was arrested Tuesday afternoon and is currently at the hospital being checked out after the arrest. We will have an update on this on ReallyCoolSite.org later tonight and on the newscast tomorrow. And we're back. It's been a rough couple of days as my voice is still not recovered from the C virus over the past 2 weeks. Yesterday, between that and allergies, I was dead to the world for most of the day. Who'd have thunk anyone hiding a blooming plant in one of my rooms was going to cause me to die? Anyone? Anyone? We do have something new to promote, as I could not think of a new name for our evening, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday programs. Since I suck, we're just going to turn the naming rights for one program only over to anyone who makes a $10 donation to any of our Super Chats, PayPal, Cash App, or GoFundMe campaigns. Please include what you want the program to be called with your donation, and yes, it must abide by YouTube TOS for it to make it to air. Also, please let us know if you want your name to be mentioned in the promotion of the show. If you tip $20, you get 2 days worth of naming rights, $30 gets you 3 days of naming rights, etc. First come, first serve, and yes, our dedicated hate watcher to the GoFundMe campaign, your hate donations count as well. Use the power wisely. Or not, but thank you in advance. With that, we're out of here for another evening, back to hiding from the world, and we'll be back with you tomorrow night. Take care, all.